some other agencies.
Know that not that it's an ideal thing, but now they have said to eminent jurists, certain people could be added, eminent people from public life could be there, it can be broad-based. But it should not go, this particular kind of inquiry should not go to a police in routine.
Anupam Gupta, what is your take on this? Should the investigative agencies like the CBI, the Vigilance Bureau, should they be involved? Should there be an inquiry against a judge for a wrongdoing?
You see, while I am as zealous an advocate of judicial independence as anybody else, there is this every time the question of judicial accountability is raised, a specific issue is raised. Whether it is the Justice Ramaswamy issue or today the Justice Dinakaran issue, you have this false paradox or antinomy between judicial independence on the one hand and judicial accountability on the other. They are perfectly compatible. So when judges under the scanner, to use the fashionable cliche, rake up issues of judicial independence, when some wrongdoing erupts and is sought to be investigated or inquired into, that is what is most disturbing. Judges investigating judicial delinquency in principle is unexceptionable, but the conduct or the practice of this happening over the years, no one does it. Or to correct myself, you had the Chief Justice B.K. Roy committee, who is a 3-member committee inquiring into the conduct of Justice Madan of the Rajasthan High Court. It was headed by Chief Justice B.K. Roy of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. We all know the man, and because it was headed by him, it resulted in the resignation of that judge. His resignation was taken on pain of threat of impeachment. You had the sex scandal down south. Some very eminent judges manned it. An absolute clean chit was given, though a large section of the bar and the bench and public opinion would certify that the judges concerned were involved in some way or the other. So an inquiry, whether by a judge or by a Chief Justice, an in-house judicial committee, with or without the assistance of the CBI, the Vigilance or the normal police, is as good or bad, as genuine or toothless as the men conducting the inquiry.
So it's the men that actually matters. Now, Mr. Agarwal, I'd like to pick your mind on a slightly different issue. I suppose accountability comes with transparency. So how can we bring in greater transparency into the whole system?
Transparency, you are referring to the level of, at the stage of appointments or in the system?
The entire system, whether it is appointments or
inquiries. I would only say that in so far as the judicial functioning of the system is concerned, there could not have been a more transparent system. There could not possibly be. It's adversary litigation, as you know. And transparency in adversary litigation is something which is so apparent and which is so flamboyant, in fact. Transparency in judicial adjudication is absolutely there. Nobody can say that the judiciary decides causes in a manner which can be called to be in any way not transparent enough. Of course, I do agree with you that transparency in the matter of appointment is definitely lacking. That in any case probably is an issue which is referable to not judicial appointments alone at our level, but in very many other appointments, for that matter a governor's appointment, for that matter large number of appointments which the government makes at very senior level, which are, as you call it, recommendation based appointments. Because probably at the relevant time when this constitution was framed, nobody thought that the recommending authorities of that level would ever fail in their recommendations to be.
Mr. Agarwal, when I talk about transparency, what I'm saying is that why not, coming from the media, I feel that why not even allow the cameras inside the courtrooms? You see, if the Lok Sabha could have a Lok Sabha channel, I wonder why the courts can't have a channel.
I will not disagree with you on that. I will not disagree with you on that. They are open courts. They are courts meant to be not only seen, watched by those fighting litigants alone, but by everybody. And everybody has a right to know what goes on. Everybody has a right to also know what goes on in what manner and for what reasons. So on that I'm absolutely one with you that transparency on that score should be made available, and I think every court, no court would ever refuse it either.
Mr. Chima, what is your take on this?
Well, I'll share with you a very interesting experience. Every time I happen to go to London, I go to Old Bailey And I want to see how the system which they have given to us operates here. You can't imagine more quieter courts than you have them there. It's not possible for somebody to pick and whisper a word which will change the deposition of the witness. I think you can't have a hard and fast rule, but by and large, courts have to be given that quietude.
Anupam Gupta, your take on this?
Well, I would agree with Mr. Chima. I am in principle opposed to cameras entering the courthouse. That would definitely impair the dignity of the judicial function. But let me assure you, Mr. Sandhu, and assure you publicly, the judges of the present age are extremely media savvy. And before the ink has dried on the judgment, reporters, whether covering the legal beat or otherwise, have the judgment with them.
Anupam, they may be media savvy, but very often they sit on judgments despite being media savvy.
That is true. That is the question of judicial accountability, even transparency in judicial appointments, in my humble opinion, has nothing to do with the question of removal of arrears. These are independent questions, both extremely important but unconnected.
Justice Kang, what is your take on making the judiciary more transparent?
It should be. Only thing is, we have not been able to devise any other method, because court as a court, actual functioning decision of cases, that is, I think, in open court in presence of two parties. So that is there, but I think transparency, instead of transparency, we should say accountability. What is, how can, by retaining their independence, judges be, society can hold them accountable for their decisions, for their conduct. So that is an area which I think no thinker has, no jurist or sociologist have, I think, been able to think of. Whether retaining the independence, at the same time some form of method, because only it is the, now they say, the judge's conscience. That is the only accountability, which is a very tenuous thing.
Thank you very much. With that, we will end this discussion. Thank you, Anupam Gupta. Thank you, R.S. Chima,
Thank
Ashok
you,
Agarwal,
Sandhu.
and Justice Kang. Our three-tier judicial system, which begins from the trial in the Sessions Court till the Supreme Court via the High Court, takes such a long time to dispense a case that ultimately it ends with anger and frustration. Justice serves no purpose if neither side lives long enough to see it. Justice delayed, they say, is justice denied. Let's do away with this maxim now. With that hope and prayer, we end this edition of Day and Night Prime.
Good night and goodbye.